JP again with Meats Fab and Customs. Welcome back for part 2 of giving this little hot rod a haircut. So you saw in the last episode we measured everything out, laid everything out. So I'm working away here. So if you look, we got everything all taped up here. So something I forgot to mention on the last episode we did there on part 1. If you notice all those beautiful arrows that are on the tape everywhere. So when you tape all this up, so I'm taping all this up for all the straight lines and everything. Actually, I noticed I missed a line there that has to come across here, like that one. Put arrows so you know what side of this tape to cut on here. Because I'll bet $1 to anyone, if you don't put these little fancy arrows, you're gonna end up cutting on the wrong side of your line and you're gonna have to weld stuff up. So always put arrows on these lines and that, so you know which side you're cutting on. Because when you start cutting, it really starts getting a little confusing. So if you look here, I've also put black lines in here to show what's coming out. Don't have to do that. I more or less did that for camera special effects. You know, looks all sexy and cool like. Sure. But that's why I did that. So those are the sections that are coming out. If you notice here, I wasn't sure on episode 1 what I was going to do. This is what I decided here on this one. Cut it here. So if you notice, I left a tape line. This here's like 1 inch from your hinge down. The reason why, it's easier to fit and weld stuff later on. You have this little bit to play with. So don't come right up to your hinge. So I decided on there to do it this way. Cut this out. Eventually I'll have to move that. There, that's the pivot for your windshield to pivot in and out. So that's where we're at. So we're going to start cutting here. I'll go through a few tools on what we're going to use to cut this and everything. Cut off disc, sawzall, small cut off disc. So that's where we're at. So we'll get everything together and we'll start making this making it a convertible. The other thing while we're doing this, so when we cut this, cut your top line and that. So you can take this off and then cut the bottom. Don't cut the bottom first, because then once you get this roof off, now you're gonna be chasing this roof all over your floor to cut that piece off. So cut your top lines first, and then you pull the roof off, and then you can cut your bottom lines at that point. That way you're not chasing stuff all over the place. So we'll get the tools out, so we can get this thing and start cutting stuff up on it. And we're gonna make a convertible here in not a very long time. And that, so the hardest part, like I said, is just laying out, just like we just did. So let's get on this. Okay, so we got our grinder out with the cutoff wheel. And here's pretty much all the stuff you're gonna need to cut this car up. So you got your grinder with the cutoff wheels. Now, what I found, I keep all, your small cutoff wheels and all that. They might not be useful for some things, but for stuff like this, they become really handy to get into spots. So don't throw them away. I got a whole bunch of small cutoff wheels and everything. So I got my air cutoff wheel. It's small if you really have to get in tight. Sawzall here, where these are nice for doing pillars and that, for doing your door pillars. Especially, I'll end up probably changing this blade once I cut this bunch of the stuff out to cut the wood out and that, put a wood blade in. So that's where those all come in really nice. Also, if you notice, I put the guard on here. I don't know. A lot of guys run without guards. You've seen me do it quite a bit as well. What I find is you end up getting debris in your freaking eyes, even with safety glasses. So the old man me has decided, hey, let's start running a guard a little more often here. And to be honest, I'm freaking ugly enough. I don't need a cut-off disc in my forehead. So, yeah, to make myself even uglier. As much as they say chicks dig scars, that's kind of an ugly one. So that's why I've started running. By no means am I an angel. I should be preaching on safety, because I'm probably one of the worst for it. But something I've started running is guards. So, back again, do as you please. If you want to run them, run them. If you don't, whatever. Your face. But yeah, so those are the tools that I use to to cut these things apart. So let's start doing some cutting. Okay, here I'm going to start with cutting this rear window frame out, the bottom half of it. I'm going to get this out of the way. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. Then just put that to the side for right now, and then we'll start cutting all the other stuff. So that's what I'm going to start with, just getting this bottom frame out of here. And we still got some wood in here that I'm going to end up having to pull some nails and stuff out to get it to come out. But for right now, I'm just going to, usually you don't have that wood, so that's actually kind of rare. So right now I'm just going to cut here and here and just pull the bottom of this frame out is what we're going to do right now. Okay, so I got this piece cut out. There's the bottom there. So like I said before, this here is going to end up, we'll cut 2 inches off of this, which then will bring this here all up. Then you'll take an inch off of here, which then comes down. So this will end up down here. And then you'll just take 2 inches out of here. That's what you'll end up doing. But I got this wood in here. And actually, it's this wood's actually in good shape in this A, because most of them aren't. This one's still actually really good. But I think a lot of it is because this is a Saskatchewan car, and it's she's dry over in Saskatchewan. So that's why this isn't, you got a little bit of rot down there, but not much. So I'm going to pull this piece out, and then inside here, look, I'm going to, right here, I'm going to pull this out. So I'm hoping to be able to slide all this down and then just re-drill a hole. And then when I go and put the window frame back in, I'll remount this in wherever the window frame goes and have all the wood, have all the structure and everything still in there. So that's my plan on what I'm going to do with this wood. So like I said, a lot of these cars, the wood is freaking garbage in them. This one here, you happen to luck out and the wood's still good in it. So it's got a few, you know, even if you look in this corner, it's still got the piece in there. This side's gone. Your frames are actually, it's still got the wood in the frames as well. And that, so even that, I want to try and use as much of that as I can. Up there, like we already talked about, those will be made out of steel, and we may make them out of steel here as well. You know, this here I'll just box in there if I do anything in there. So, but that's what I'm gonna do right now is just pull this apart and then work on cutting. Figure out where I'm gonna cut here on this next, and like I said, just keep cutting and. Eventually, it's going to be a convertible here eventually. So that's where we're at right now. Let's get this wood all moved around. Okay, we got a bunch of cutting done here. This side here, we got nothing going on yet. Nothing. And then we get back here. We got a whole lot of holes going on here. So it's starting to make a bit more sense what we got going on. So this here will close up, which then will bring this down. So now this here will all close up, come down in, and this here should go inside here. And then that'll close this up. This here will end up getting welded in here. And then here, so if you notice, the inner structure is what's actually holding this up right now. And that, so that Sawzall that we were, the Sawzall that we were looking at there earlier, that's where we'll use all this, is in here. All in these sections here, and then we'll pull the wood out of here at that point and be able to weld this all up. Because if you leave that wood in, you try to weld it, it contaminates the weld, something terrible. So what we'll end up doing is putting pieces in here to bring the structure all back in. And that, because it's kind of hard to weld inside and everything, so we'll be bringing that structure all back in is what we'll end up doing here. Once we bring this down, we should be able to weld everything in there nice and make it all strong again. So that's, you know, here we've pulled it out. So we've pulled the sections out. Here are the sections here that we've pulled out so far. So on that note, don't get rid of these. Keep these, because you never know when you're going to need them, especially this piece here with that, you know, the bend to the back panel. I have the one Model A I have out back, I have a whole back section because someone in their wisdom way back when put Cadillac taillights in it, and they must have been blind when they did it because they are friggin' all over the place. So I'll end up using the pieces that I cut out of another one to fix the taillight problem in that one. It looks like a cross-eyed cat. It's got freaking, they're going everywhere. So if we come back over to this side here, you can see these sections here, I haven't cut them out yet. So I'm going to work on cutting these out right now so it'll match the other side, and then we'll cut those inner structures out. So, you know, if you can see it there, not cut, cut. So probably makes a bit more sense now what kind of what we got going on here. So that's why I tape everything up, take your time, and it makes your life easier. And like I said, don't forget those arrows, because there were a couple times I was working away here and I kind of I confused myself, to be honest. So don't forget those arrows. Those arrows saved my ass already here from cutting on the wrong side, because the last thing you want is to be an inch short. You know, that's every guy's life story. So you don't want to be an inch short. And yeah, so I'll just get this other side here and we'll get on cutting it up. Okay, so I got this thing all cut. We're roughly fitting it up right now is what's going on right now. The first thing I need to do is get all this wood out of here. Then I pull it all out. Don't try to weld these up with the wood in it. Especially if you're TIG welding or anything, it contaminates the shit out of your welds. I've tried it many times and it doesn't work. So pull all this out and then I got some of this nice 1.25 inch here. And square tubing. So the 1.25 inch, I already got this one side out already, and but 1.25 inch fits right in there, all really nice. Look at that! Look at that sexy thing right there. So you can cut some nice plugs there, and to plug this in. So what you'll do, so then you put that in like that, you'll end up these holes here, right there. Spot weld them back together, and that all in there where those nails came out, where the wood held it together. If you look there, you can see how that's spread apart. So you're going to clamp that together when you get it all in, and then just even hang a nice weld there to hold that outer skin onto there. Same thing here. You can see right now I got a couple clecos in here just holding this together. But like I said, first get all that wood out of there, and it's a bit of a bitch because there are screws down in here. If you luck out, your car's rotten in here. If you look, there's a screw hole right there. That's what that is. The screw hole that comes in on this inner structure into your wood. So be gentle but be rough, if that makes sense, on getting that wood out of there. You just sort of pry it back and forth and that, unless you're pulling an outer skin off, take a screw out, which I doubt you're gonna do. But a lot of these cars are rotten in there anyways, so it falls right out. This car happens to be a solid car, so I've had to fight with it a little bit. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I'll pull this other wood out of the other side. The driver's side's all out already, and then we can start fitting things up and start doing some tack welding here and see what the heck we can get going on. But yeah, that's where we're at now. So I'll get this other side pulled out, and then we can start fitting this roof up on here. So all the wood's out now, so now comes the fun and games of fitting all this. Like I said, I've never chopped one like this before, so I'm learning with you guys. What I've seen so far, though, is I had to put a slit right here. Because what was happening, I wanted to push everything and really stress everything going forward. So once I put this little slit in here, now if you look, this roof comes down our line here is pretty good. But right here is holding this roof up. So what actually needs to happen, I'll take my grind, my cutoff wheel, and I'm going to run it right down there and over to there to get this to slide down in here is what I need to do. Then I can line that line up, and I still may end up having to put a couple more relief cuts in here just to let things, there's a lot of metal right in here that wants to do weird stuff. But this is starting to come in. Now I had a great big gap there before, but it's starting to come in. So like I said, I may still end up putting another one in here to get that to come around. A lot of this is down, so you're down, your body line goes roughly to there. Is where your body line is. So this is the fun right now, is starting to fit everything and make everything all fit up nice and square everything up. Make sure your windows are all straight. So that's where I'm at right now. So I need to slit that, and that, because even if you look in here, I can see a bit of a pucker in here happening because of how we're holding it up here. So I do like doing it this way a lot better than the other way. It's a little bit more work now, but I think it's going to be a whole lot less welding and beating and making it all nice later on. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is just slit that and get that to come down in. Okay, so we got part 2 here. Heck, we're all wrapped up. I got everything fit in here. It's time will be part 3. We'll be starting to weld stuff up. So if you look here, everything's lined up pretty good. In here's pretty good. I'm really impressed with doing it this way. I really am. You don't have that seam in there. The only place you got's right in here. You're cut along or weld along here. With a TIG welder, it'll be nice because it'll all weld in there nice. You got a little bit in there, just a nice straight line. This is nice. I had to trim this up a bit, which is no biggie. And it's gonna get trimmed up more as I weld it. Everything's just roughly like you see it, but when you start clamping it and pulling it in, and that start pulling stuff down. But I gotta start laying some welds in. Like I said, right in here, once you do that, everything starts coming in. The same thing here. And that, everything. And there might be areas where, like, you know, I just noticed when I pulled this in like this, it's got a bit of a freaking buckle right in there. It wants to buckle. And that. So as you're welding stuff up and getting stuff, because it's actually, this here has to come over that way a bit. So as I get that over that way, that's got to be all trimmed up nice. And that, it may come in. If not, I'll just put a little slit in here. Nice little slit. That'll make that close up nice. It'll take away that metal and everything. But that's sort of, once you start welding it and that. But yeah, like I said, in here, I really like how this has turned out. And it took a little bit of work because I've never done it before. So it was a little bit of trial and error. I think you can sort of see what's going to happen here with this rear window, which we'll do in the next video and that on that. Yeah, so that's, you know, pretty much you got to start welding it all now and start, you know, prying it all in nice. You know, this here line here, it all looks good. Might have to slit this a bit to get that to all come in. And but all in all, I'm pretty impressed with how this worked. I've never done it this way before. To be honest with you, I've never seen one done this way. I've seen 32s and stuff like that done this way. I haven't seen a Model A done this way. So I could be mistaken. I'm not trying to take credit that I'm the first guy to ever do it, because someone's probably done it before. But I know going forward, this is how I'll be doing them from now on. And it works. Seems to work really nice. So now, before we start welding, I'll end up taking measurements in here from that body line to that body line, that body line to that body line. Make sure we're the same all the way around. And that, make sure our pillars are all in the same angle. So I have this clamped in here like this, so it follows this line, so it doesn't start getting all cockeyed on you and everything. So that's where we're at right now. So you know, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe, comment. If you could see, you know, an easier way to do this, I love easier ways. Don't be afraid to comment and tell me. And like I said, like, subscribe, share it, and we'll carry on, because we start welding here in the next in part 3. So that's part 2 all done, just sort of fitting everything. And yeah, the more time you spend fitting, the easier your welding becomes. And myself personally, I love TIG welding these together, because you can stretch your welds and get everything looking pretty. So till the next one, get out there and build something cool, and everyone have a great day, and life's good. And so get out there and build something cool. Goodbye.